What's going on, guys? My name's Sebastian. This is Resell Junkie. If you're new here, my wife and I, we sell used stuff online and we teach others how to do it. What we're going to talk about today is 3 vital thrifting tips for any newer reseller, or maybe someone that's even been established and maybe you need a little bit of a brushing up. I consider myself a pro thrifter. That's what I've been doing for the past several years, and I've been doing this for full-time income for about 1.5 years now. So I've been through thrift stores, I've been through garage sales, yard sales, I've been through the whole gamut. So these are gonna be the 3 most vital things that I think are gonna help you guys save more time, make more money, and have more fun. So let's get into it. Guys, real quick, if you do find this video helpful, at the end, please smash that like button. It really, really helps the algorithm. It helps us spread to way more people, and it actually helps people see this. And if you're new here, if you like money, if you like hustling, if you like eBay tips, all that good stuff, hit that subscribe button and let's become best friends. But let's just get into the tips. Tip number 1, figure out your niche. This is the biggest tip I tell everyone that messages me. They ask, like, how do we get started? How do we do this? How do we do that? First thing first, understand what you actually want to do. Becoming a reseller, you literally can do anything. If you want to resell yachts, you can resell yachts. If you want to resell guns, you can do that. Cars, collectibles, toys, clothing, it doesn't matter what you resell, you can become a reseller. That's the beauty of it, right? There's not really this kind of hurdle to where you need to become an expert in clothing like me. Like, I consider myself a pretty good clothing seller, but that's not what I expect you guys to do. Say you like hip hop music. Maybe you're not gonna become a rapper, but you can probably sell like mixing equipment, headphones, you can sell, turntables, anything audio related. That helps make hip hop beats. So don't think that you have to become a rapper to make money in rap. So it comes down to understanding what you like, what you know, what your history is. I mean, you can even take your current career path, say you're a welder maybe and you hate your job welding, but you know a lot about welders. You know what welders are super, super expensive. That's your niche. Go after that. Don't try to learn clothing because it will drive you crazy. Now, it's going to be a lot harder to find welding supplies in thrift stores, but thrift stores are not the only way to thrift stuff. You can go to garage sales, yard sales, you can go on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, guys, there's so many different options. And if you don't even want to leave your house, you can do online arbitrage on places like eBay and just lowball people or find good deals on auction and then just resell it. So don't think that you need to find everything in a thrift store. That's not what this is about, and that's not what reselling is about. You can buy anything anywhere. It really depends on what you actually want to sell. Now, this is so important because there's a lot of people that watch YouTube videos and maybe they see me selling $200 to $300 worth of clothes a day, and then they try to do that and they completely fail and they say, like, clothing sales don't work, resellers are stupid, like, this is not for me. Yeah, it probably didn't work because you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to clothing. It just wouldn't make sense. And it almost isn't worth the burden to learn all of those intrinsic things about clothing when you're already an expert in something. Everyone is an expert in something unless you've lived under a rock for the past 30 years of your life. And if you have, most likely you're gonna have a really hard time in life and not just reselling, so that's on you. That's not something that a YouTube video could change or fix about you. It's just some people have it, some people don't. Some people have interests and hobbies, and then others literally are just like a blank piece of paper and have nothing in their heads. That's not what YouTube's for. It's not gonna help you. You need to change yourself. But for the rest of us that have had hobbies throughout our lives, like skateboarding, BMX, I mean, literally anything. If you're a hunter right now, you can be an old man watching this video, you've never resold anything, but say you know everything there is about hunting. You know guns, you know bows, you know the clothing brands. That is so good knowledge to use to turn into money. It's just all of these little things that can compound from your history, from your previous work experiences, from your hobbies and passions. Turn that into a business. Don't copy me. Copy my process, my techniques, and my methodology, but don't copy my exact items. You don't have to do that. That's not the point of what I'm trying to teach you guys. And I'm not saying that because I'm scared you're gonna take my business over. There's no way that's gonna happen. I'm telling you because I want like the most success for you. And the most potential for success is starting at a baseline to where you're already confident in. When people message me on Instagram and they ask me, where do I start? I say, okay, what can you teach me about right now? What are you an expert in? It doesn't matter what it is, teach me about it right now. That's where you start. that's your niche, that's where you should really just springboard into something bigger. Start there, start making a few bucks, and then if you want to grow and expand, you can learn about clothing, you can learn about collectibles, you can learn about all of these things when you have time and freedom. But for now, start with the knowledge that's already in your head. Use that, make a few bucks, and then grow as a reseller. Niching down is great, but I do expect everyone watching this that is a reseller or wants to become a reseller to have a general knowledge of everything in thrift stores. I don't need you to be highly specialized in one category, but I do need you to understand what like a vintage t-shirt feels like compared to a modern one, what home audio sells versus what doesn't. Like, you need to understand these things that are like the bread and butter of thrift store items. Starting with your niche is amazing. You do need to start there, but eventually most people do springboard out of that. They grow, they expand, they sell other things. But again, that's the beauty of this business, that you don't ever have to. If all you want to do is sell car parts, that is a multi-billion-dollar business a year. Get into it. Get your little few bucks out of it, sell car parts, sell whatever makes you happy. All right, tip 2. We have our baseline. We know what we want to sell. Now, this is one of the most important things that I probably will ever tell you. You need to learn your market. Not every market is the same. You could live in Colorado and you could live in Utah, and even though they're so close, the markets are going to be vastly different. Now, when you go to compare, like say like New York City to the middle of, nowhere Utah, that is going to be even more different. Watching these videos on YouTube, you need to relate that to your local area. If you live in the countryside and you have 0 thrift stores around you for the next 100 miles, you may have to have a different game plan than someone like me who literally has 8 gigantic corporate chain thrift stores within like literally 30 minutes. My market is insane. I have a lot of opportunities to go thrifting. Not everyone has that though. So kind of going back to tip number 1 is learning your niche and shopping in other places. Maybe you'll have to go to estate sales. Maybe you'll have to go to garage sales. Maybe you'll never step foot in a thrift store with your business, and that's okay. But you need to understand that. You also need to understand what you can literally source in your area. So again, going back to living in the countryside, the chances of you finding like really, really cool items that are like hip and like all these things is going to be probably really rare. You're going to find mostly like utilitarian things. You may find some vintage clothing from some old folks, but you're going to find like tools. You're going to find car parts. You're going to find tractors and outdoor stuff and like all those kinds of things. But if you live in New York City, chances are you're going to find high-end designer labels. You're going to find really cool brands. I mean, you're just going to find really, really cool things all of the time, just because that's the market there. These people just literally throw this stuff in a thrift store because they're so rich and they don't care. You need to understand what your market is capable of and what it can offer you. Because if you have this idea in your head that you're gonna sell, priceless Van Goghs and you're gonna find them all locally, but you live in the middle of Kansas, you're gonna have a really, really hard time. And again, you're gonna say reselling doesn't work, but it's because you didn't analyze your local area. Now this can be a 2-part thing. Knowing your local area is really, really important, but also knowing your thrift stores is so important. So I know around here which thrift stores are awesome. I told you guys I have 8 thrift stores within 30 minutes. Guess how many I shop at on a regular basis? 2. They make the most sense for me. They're within 5 to 10 minutes of my house. In one of them, I find probably 75% of the inventory that I sell every single week. Now that's crazy. I know some of you run around to the bins and you go to 10 thrift stores a day and all these things to source. I don't do that. I'm very, very fortunate. I live in a nicer area. I have a really great Goodwill that hasn't overpriced too much quite yet. They're starting to get there like every other Goodwill, but still, for the most part, I can find reasonably priced stuff that's in great shape and it sells really, really fast, so it works for me. But that's not the case for everyone. So you need to do analysis on your market and see what areas are more expensive, what areas are poorer, and you need to go to all these thrift stores consistently and see which ones work. Because going to a thrift store one time on a random morning, just that one singular time, is not going to tell you enough about it. You need to understand how often they're replacing their inventory, who works there, how are they pricing things, what are they pricing low, what are they pricing high. These things are so crucial to your success because when it comes down to this, it's about your time. The more time you spend sourcing inventory, the less money you're making. It's killing into your profits, it's taken away from family time, and that's not what I want for you guys. It's not what I teach on this channel whatsoever. I want you guys to be as efficient and as profitable as possible. So that comes to really understanding your market. That's not something I can help you with. That's not something YouTube can help you with. That's something where you have to put skin in the game and understand and do studies and run tests and just waste time, honestly, going to thrift stores that never make you money. Do that repetitively. Make a mental note of what thrift stores you just always walk out empty-handed and just cut those out. Just cut the fat out. You don't need it. Go to those thrift stores that you actually buy stuff, that things are affordable. Spend all of your time in those stores. Do not go to the time-sucking stores that never get you anything. Those stores are always going to be garbage, I've learned. In the past 3 years, the stores that were bad for me, they were always consistently bad. They were always awful. So I cut them out. I only go to the good ones. That's where I spend all my time, and that's what I suggest you guys do. Tip number 3, it is okay to fail, to lose money, to screw up, to buy broken items, to buy damaged items. All of that is okay. If there's anyone on the internet that ever talks crap to you and says like, oh, you're not supposed to waste money, you're not, like, what kind of reseller are you? You lost money, like you didn't make a profit on this item. Guys, I've been doing this for years. I've been doing sales for even longer. I absolutely love this. I still lose money. I still make bad buys. I still make bad decisions. Heck, just the other day, I bought a button-down shirt. I thought it was in good shape. I get it home, and there's literally a hole that big in the armpit that I missed. I'm a full-time clothing seller. I look things over pretty well, like when I buy them, and somehow I miss this thing. And I'm telling you this because it's so important. There's so many people on the internet, especially like these bigger reseller community channels, they don't talk about this stuff. They don't talk about the mistakes. They don't talk about the flaws, like the screw-ups. They're scared to admit these things, and I hate that. I hate when people cannot admit that they are wrong or that they screw up, no matter at what level. You can find the best sales procurer or the best CEO. You can find all of these hotshots in any single billion-dollar business you can ever imagine. They still make bad buys. Heck, the head of buying at Walmart, I guarantee you they still make bad buys all of the time. So guys, to think that everything you buy needs to turn you a profit, that's not okay. That's not the right frame of mind. You need to understand that a thrift degree is going to cost you money just like a college degree will. You need to learn to lose money. That's how you learn about this business, is by losing money. You remember like, hey, I bought this mug with these 2 colors on it. It did not sell, so I'm never going to buy this with these 2 colors on it. Obviously, this is a really bad example, but you know what I mean. It's like you learn about these brands from spending money on them, and then they never sell, or they take 6 months to a year to sell. So then when you run across them again, you're like, oh, wait, I remember that took me 6 months to sell, and I made $1 profit on it, so I'm not going to touch that. That's why it's so important to just keep trying and to burn through money and maybe buy inventory that you think you don't have enough data on, and just run your own data and get your own results out of it. The internet is not always going to hold your hand. The internet is not always going to have accurate data. eBay sold listings could be fluffed for whatever reason. They could be inaccurate. It's just a million different things that could be wrong. And again, with a lot of things we sell, like collectibles and clothing and all these things, there's trends, especially with clothing. Like in the winter time, summer things aren't going to sell as well as they would in the summer. So it's understanding the market, it's understanding value of things, but it's accepting the fact that it's okay to screw up. Like guys, I've said it before in a video, if you're not losing thousands of dollars doing this, you're not trying to grow fast enough. That's the thing. If you're trying to grow a 6-figure business, to think that you won't lose several $1,000s along the way, that is insane. And anyone that tells you otherwise, they have no idea what they're talking about. There's no seller in the world that has never lost money on a purchase. And I promise you, every single professional seller on YouTube and the real world, they lose money. They lose money, but they do not tell you about it because they're scared to. It's one of those things where people think they're gonna like lose all their credibility if they tell you that they suck at things. Like, no, I suck at a lot of things. I make mistakes every day. Totally fine. Anyone that's humble will tell you the same thing. If anyone talks down to you about that, send them my way. I'll make them a nice angry video. But guys, seriously, just understand that mistakes happen. You'll miss things along the way. Things will be broken when you thought they were working. You'll send things to customers thinking they're perfectly working, but maybe you missed something as well. Maybe same example, like you missed a stain on a shirt or something like that. A zipper was broken on that shirt that you sent them. That's okay. These things will happen. You'll learn. It's a learning lesson. Take it as that, move on, and just keep going. Do not fret about it. All the time you see these people just worry about the same thing, like, oh my gosh, that t-shirt I sold a year ago, it was messed up. I can't believe I got a negative review. No, move on from it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A negative review is not going to kill you. Just move on, take it as a learning opportunity, and get out of there. Don't let that stay in your mind. So yeah, guys, those are my 3 tips. I know this is kind of a quick video. I just wanted to get this out there because I think these things are really, really important to talk about. I think a lot of resellers don't talk about these sort of higher level or more intrinsic things that pertain to all of us, but we just don't think about them. If this was helpful, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new here, subscribe below. Make sure you hit that little bell as well to help you see notifications for when we post new videos. And until next time, my name's Sebastian. Cheers.